Welcome to the new podcast, episode number 32. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer and co-host extraordinaire Kelly. Let's get to it. Breaking down this weekend, tons of fights around the globe coming at you. UFC went down, Bellator in the UK, ONE FC as well, and I think there was some Russian cards as well this weekend. We will touch base on all that coming up, folks. Great weekend to fight, except it was a bit of a snore fest. I think it just was, the hardest part was for those fighters to get the strength just to be able to travel to such a shithole town like Ottawa. I just feel so sorry for them to have to actually step foot in that province, let alone that town. So they have to be tested now for hepatitis. Just breathing the air in Ottawa. Feel very sorry for him. And it was actually not a great card. I'm not sure. All seriousness, I think it is, because it's springtime there. I know it does get quite humid in that region. It is quite swampy. So I think it does. The humidity maybe had played effect in the card that wasn't so great. But I digress. Let's get to some stuff here. All right. The news coming through this week. Tons of little snippets here and there of news coming around here. I think the biggest announcement for the UFC was UFC 242 going to be going down in Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this summer it's going to be coming around, which I kind of questioned their thought process of having a UFC event in the summer in Dubai, but I'm sure it'll be a well air-conditioned arena. I think the last time they went was the Anderson Silva versus Damian Maia, I believe, and I think it was like the Mercedes-Benz Arena, which kind of more was an open arena, and also we saw the likes of Frankie Edgar versus BJ Penn for their first title bout trilogy in that one there, and their biggest rumor, obviously it's a slam dunk and makes total sense with his upcoming suspension going to be running out just before that, would be for Khabib, a devout Muslim, to fight in a 99.9% Muslim country. It's a slam dunk, and it makes total sense, especially for him to come back. He would have so much fans behind him, and I can guarantee you it will definitely put asses in seats to have Khabib on that card, and especially to headline that card as well. Good move. Who he fights, obviously, it could be, obviously it'll be Dustin Poirier. But do we see maybe Dustin Poirier get an injury or something like that happen, and who steps in for that? We could see down the road a Conor rematch. I think would make a lot of sense. I hate to say that. But money-wise and for fight fan-wise, I think it makes tons of sense, especially go down to Dubai like that. What do you think, Kelly, on that one?
I'd like to see Donald Cerrone.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Donald had wicked jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I think that actually would be a very tough matchup for Khabib. Just his whole skill set. Donald Cerrone, just one of those dudes, is a complete MMA fighter. He's got the grit. He's got the ground game, and his striking is very, very good.
Yeah,
his striking is very, very good, and his attitude too. He's a guy who's not going to give up. That's for damn sure. Tough as nails. That should be his new nickname. Donald Tough as Nails Cerrone. You heard it here first. But we will touch base on that card and are more gushing over Donald Cerrone later on. Huge news for Bellator and Risen. Coming down is that in the Madison Square Garden underneath the Bellator banner, Koji Horiguchi will take on Darian Caldwell to try to unify the 135-pound belt. So now Horiguchi will be bringing in his Risen 135-pound belt, and Caldwell will be putting his 135-pound Bellator belt on the line, going down also this summer in the Madison Square Garden for Bellator. Huge matchup for those dudes to, really, I hope they get a headliner because those are two very exciting 135-pound fighters. Super excited to see that one go down. Come this summer too. It's kind of odd, Kelly. I gotta say, we've talked about this before in the past. How they're really doing a lot of these major cards in the summertime. We've talked about this before in the past. How they got to kind of step away from it, especially with this East Coast card. It was an early start. I can imagine if they would have done it in the summertime, a lot of people would have missed most of the card, and that's what I was hearing from a lot of people. Like, oh shit, it's an early start. I got a lot of shit to do today. I'm gonna have to PVR and watch later on. I don't know how popular. What do you think on that one there, Kelly? I don't know how popular these cards are actually going to be.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They should do it like, rainy months, winter months, stuff like that. A lot of people want to go camping. They want to be out doing other things. You know what I mean? There's lots of weddings and things like that.
Yeah, weddings too.
Yeah,
especially weddings. Yeah, wedding season.
Idea, yeah. I totally agree.
So it's kind of odd that they are going heavy with these summer cards. Exactly. That's why we see hockey and baseball, or not baseball. Forget I even said that name in this show. Basketball and football, they start up in the fall. You know what I mean? As much as I hate to see the fall and the leaves change, I'm a summer guy. As much as I hate to see that weather change, I do enjoy it for the sports coming up. And I think UFC and MMA can kind of piggyback onto that and make people think, hey, here's a new season of MMA. I'm going to be super hyped about it. Like I said, I'm not saying don't have cards in the summer. I said don't just have your heavy stacked cards in the summer. And I think PFL their season just started too, which I thought was really stupid. I think they're trying to fill a gap where football isn't there, and hockey and basketball are going to be ending soon. So they're trying to fill a gap for the summertime. I just don't think it really works. I think those sports don't have in the summer, so people can enjoy their summers and not have to really worry about sports. But maybe maybe it's going to be a changing of the guard. They want to have to do this. They're going to do it no matter what. But I just don't see it as good smart business sense. Whether you're losing just a small percentage of people, it's still a percentage of people. You could have twice as many if you had the card in a different time of the year. It's just simple season mathematics. That makes sense. But I'm actually excited to see that side. I'm not too excited to see 135ers go at it. With the exception of the back and forth bouts we had with Killishaw versus Garbrandt. I thought that was really a really exciting rivalry at 135. But other than that, I really don't give two shits about 135s. And this fight actually, especially for two dudes outside of the UFC to go at it at 135, I'm actually quite excited. And I will actually tune in for this card. And who knows who else is going to be on the card? I'm sure it'll be a stacked card, and I'm very excited to look forward to it. Maybe have a whole split right down the middle, Bellator versus Risen event. And man, that would be something cool. I would definitely love to watch that.
Whose drug testing did they go by?
Nobody's.
Nobody's? Yeah, that makes sense. You'd have to, right? You'd just have to be like, no drug testing.
I'm not exactly sure. That's a great question. Whatever the other one was, it's tough to say.
Because it could be super unbalanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. They would obviously have to go by one. They couldn't really switch, say like, oh, we're going to do ours and you can do yours. Because I couldn't imagine Japan has got the same standards as they do in America. I'm not knocking Japan. I'm just, they put on good fights, but it's been well documented that dudes juice up over there. It's been well documented. It's not just by me.
Yeah, and they'll probably be like, yeah, we want to win, so let's let the guys juice.
Exactly. Another huge announcement for fights going down to add to the mega stack card that UFC 239 already is Claudia Gadelha is going to take on Ronda Marcos at that. That's a huge matchup for both of them. Kind of both at Marcos is a little bit on the way up. Gadelha is as much as it hurts me to say it, she's kind of on a bit of the way down just because of the competition she's been constantly fighting, which is, she hasn't had like she hasn't had anybody out of the top 5 in the last 5 years. She just fights nothing but top 5 competition. One of my favorite women fighters in the world, really. I just love her. I love her tenacity. I love her skill set. Great on the ground, and she just, she's just a little pit bull in there, a little fireball. And a Canadian, Ronda Marcos, I think it's a very even matchup. I'd love to see what the betting odds would have to be on that one. Because Marcos showing a lot of grit in her last few fights. Who do you think takes that, Kelly, between Gedalia and Marcos?
Oh man, I have no idea.
I
think
know.
it's gonna be super close.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, same with like me. Claudia is one of my favorite fighters. She's always been like every fight she's been in, she's been in the fight. You know what I mean? She's never just been like getting her ass kicked or anything like that. Yeah, man, tough call. I don't know. I think it's exactly like you said. One's on like kind of like a more like a plateau, I guess.
A little bit, yeah. That's a good example. Yeah, plateau is such a nice way to put it.
And
absolutely.
then one's definitely on the way up. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I want to see Canadian champions, so I'm gonna go with the Canadian.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. I was gonna say since the hometown crowd, we got to lean a little bit more towards Marcos. I'm just gonna go to Gedalia just because I've always been such a huge fan of her. I'm gonna be booed between my peers, my Canadian peers, is to pick that. But such a tough. I would almost guarantee that the line would be almost even on that fight. And I'm not the best betting guy, but I could easily see that going either way. It could be a fight of the year candidate too. I could see both those girls really going toe to toe with each other. Going down UFC 239. I think the biggest news this week was the announcement of Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, the rematch. And deservedly so. I think Stipe deserves the rematch. Being the champ, you should automatically get the rematch. And good move for him to, kind of take some time off, get it, clear his head, get everything straightened out, and get the matchup. Obviously, we all wanted to see Brock Lesnar. Who didn't want to see Brock Lesnar, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be Brock Lesnar. Obviously, the rumor is the money was off. He wanted, since there is now, Kelly, it's kind of a new thing we are in this day and age of streaming, he wanted guaranteed money. Because most people, their contracts are tied to pay-per-view buys, right? But with ESPN Plus, there's not a pay-per-view buy number anymore. So he wanted a guaranteed revenue number that he's like, I guarantee you I'm going to be bringing in this much money with people buying this, so I want this much money. And UFC said, no, we're not doing it. Your name isn't Conor McGregor. You are extremely popular, and I think Brock Lesnar had a big hand in where the UFC is today with the popularity, but they were willing to turn their back and say, no, we don't care. We don't care. And even as far as Dana White saying, no, Brock Lesnar is retired, which Brock Lesnar has not said that, but Dana White is going to speak for him and say, no, he's retired. I could see him moving over somewhere else. I could see Bellator dishing out some money for him, but he has reportedly re-signed a big deal with WWE because of this, speaking of Dubai, this massive Saudi Arabia show that the UFC has signed a contract with as well. But we will find out. Who do you think takes the rematch, though, Kelly? I digress. I like to see. I'm actually excited for Cormier versus Miocic and for Cormier's retirement bout to be this bout. But that being said, with the tape that we have seen from the first match between those two dudes, who takes the rematch?
I'm gonna go with Stipe on the rematch. Yeah.
Whoa. I think I gotta agree with you a little bit there. Cormier is obviously gonna have a ton of emotion in the back of his mind. As his last fight. The what ifs, obviously. The what ifs of the John Jones saga that he had. That will never have an answer to now as well. And Stipe's got to come back hungry. He's got to come back extra, extra hungry. I know that's in him to come back mean, hungry, and wanting that belt back. Because, he had a great, one of the best heavyweight champion the UFC ever had. With, Cormier could have been that too. He just didn't have the time to do it. But, put the tail to the tape. Was it one of the worst Was it one of the worst rosters of the heavyweights? I don't think so. I think we saw that back in 2005 was probably one of the worst rosters of the heavyweights because all the heavyweights were in Japan, getting tons of money from Pride. So I think he had some tough competition, but it wasn't as tough as we saw, maybe in the 2010, when all the Pride talent had come over, with the exception of Fedor. That was when the heavyweight division was super, super stacked, and the title was changing, with Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir, those dudes, and Nogueira. That was a tough time to be a heavyweight in the UFC. But I'm not taking anything away from Stipe. He won all those matches handily and had some decent competition. And I think when the dust all settles after this match, either way we'll have either a new champion or a belt that is relinquished, and maybe some kind of tournament, something like that. Something like that coming down. I would be very excited to see that. But I'm going.
So Stipe.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Stipe too. Actually, on this one here, I don't see that Stipe just so tough. I don't see him taking another loss like that. And then, especially in the first fight, he was really winning it a lot. He was really putting it to Cormier with his size and everything like that. So I have a hard time seeing him. I have a hard time seeing him lose again. 2 times in a row, that'd be tough. Speaking of the Dubai card, I don't think I mentioned it was UFC has made a 5-year commitment to have, so they'll be going back once a year to Dubai for the next 5 years, and that's kind of crazy about the global brand that they are building now, especially with that. Dubai's an easy fit because they just got billions and billions of dollars they just throw around over there. Money is no object when it comes to putting on these events and having the events for these people. And for putting asses in seats, they're so hungry for this outside entertainment to come in, something that's different for them. It's like it is like a super treat for them, I'm sure, for such an inclusive country that has so many strict rules for these fighters to come in and for these people for the fighters to come in and experience something new and different. I think it's going to be interesting, and I like it. We've kind of talked about it before in the past with the Crown Jewel event. It's tough. And I think that's the thing. People always want to make it a political thing. People always want to make it a statement about human rights and that type of thing. And the stuff that goes on is atrocious. The stuff that goes on is disgusting. But it's not. We're not talking about that though. We're doing these people do these events, these sporting events, so people can get their mind off of that stuff. That's the reason why sports is there, to really focus on something else, to hate another team, just for strictly the reason for them being another town. No other reason whatsoever. Just for them being a rival town. And you can go and enjoy it and cheer on your team, and everything that entails with that. Keep it under wraps, folks. But it is just it is one of those things when that happens. One thing I've been questioning is maybe the ESPN deal. I don't know if you have any news on this, Kelly, here, but where the hell is the next Ultimate Fighter season? You know what I mean? When is the next Ultimate Fighter season coming? You heard anything in the works about that? I'm confused myself. When the hell is this going to happen here? It's been quite some time since we had the last Ultimate Fighter season, and I just don't know why we don't have another one. The success of how good it was, and it's kind of just weird. And maybe must have been that. I could have swore it was like October or something like that when it last went down. But it kind of got me thinking about it with Macy Chazon's fight this weekend here. She had won for her division, so it's kind of weird. I don't know when the hell the next one's gonna happen. Hopefully we see the heavyweights come around. Maybe that's why they're taking a little extra time to get the extra talent. Even the dude who won last year, I can't remember his name now. The Spanish dude, I can't remember his name. I don't even think we've seen him fight in the UFC since he's won. We've seen Macy Chazon already fight. But we haven't even seen. I can't remember the hell his name was. Juan Esposito. Yeah, that's what his name was. Yeah, I don't know why we haven't seen him fight yet. Very, very odd. Maybe he's traveling the world or just hammering on his contract, something like that. But we will see what happens. Maybe maybe it has to lead up to it. Maybe he will be on the finale show, and we will see that go down. Haven't talked any wrestling in a little while. I just want to kind of touch base briefly on some wrestling news, if anything. I don't really want to get into the wrestling that has been going on, which has been pretty damn good. Not spectacular for the shakedown that has been going down, but the kind of the news that I want to talk about is the Dean Ambrose. Everyone's saying, no, he's not leaving. It's all a ploy. No, he's not leaving. It's all a ploy. Why would he leave WWE? He's leaving. 100% he's gone. He's left. He's gone. They've had the show, and he's even gone as far as cut a Jon Moxley promo on his Instagram page. So I think he's officially had set, kind of with that move, officially burying the Dean Ambrose character and becoming Jon Moxley again, which was his character before he had been signed by WWE. Rumor is he's not going to AEW as well, that he could actually be going to Impact, which I thought was a weird move. And if I could give him some advice, I would say run as far away from Impact as you possibly can. They are signing some names, but their storylines, the longevity of those storylines, your whole accountability, I think, kind of really gets lowered. If you're an independent wrestler and you get an offer from Impact, I think it's, oh man, that's great. Good for you. That's a huge step up. Could be another step up in the right direction to get on to another big stage. But for a dude who turned down huge money, guaranteed huge money, and a huge name, huge money, and a company you're comfortable with, to go to Impact, I find that absolutely absurd. I think he's going to go to AEW. Maybe he does independence for a while. I just think there's too much money on the table that AEW has put on there, and I think they have already kind of guaranteed. They said, hey, you're going to be the next big thing with AEW. It'll be you versus Cody Rhodes the whole time, basically, as you will be the main antagonist or protagonist to take on Cody Rhodes. And I just think, to go over to Impact, to that fucking washing machine of shit that company is putting out, like I said, it totally is. It totally is. I've watched, I'm not just speaking out of what I've been reading. I've been watching episodes, and from what I can stomach through the episodes, it's rough. It is rough. I'd rather watch an independent show anytime. Speaking of which, I'm going to the Ballroom Brawl, ECCW, the local organization here, having their annual, or biannual now. They're so popular, it's so successful. Ballroom Brawl going down at the Commodore this summer, June 5th is when it goes down. I could not be more excited. I can't be excited. No, I can't do it. I cannot be excited. I can't be more excited with how awesome those shows have been, and I'm really excited to go back to this one. And I wasn't the biggest fan of him when he was in WWE, but TJ Perkins is going to be on this one, the first cruiserweight champion of the new 205 era. So it'd be exciting to see him. I think, kind of local show. Hopefully he takes on El Fantasmo or something like that. I think those two dudes could have an amazing match together. And they always kind of surprise you with some really cool shit. I can't wait to see what happens. We got great seats for it. It's an amazing event. 4 bars. We're right beside one of the bars. I love the Commodore, and I am so excited for this event to go down. I cannot wait to go check that out as well. Check it out if you're local, listening to the show. They tickets sell out pretty quick. I know there's only a few floor seats left. I did the floor for the first time we went, and I had no problem. You got to stand the whole time, or you can get the seats on the side and the wings, which you can still get a great view of the whole venue. Obviously, you'd have to show up early to make sure you do get one of those seats, but always love the venue. Maybe I'll get a t-shirt this time. Going down with my man Pentagon Jr. shirt this year, so check me on the crowd. If you listen to the show, hit me up. My man Pentagon Jr. Hopefully one day we will see him up here, and I would definitely be the first person to buy the seats if he does decide to, if the ECCW has enough money to throw his way. Which was kind of weird. Why I thought it was, the last person I would expect would have been TJ Perkins. So it's kind of cool. speaking of the Middle East, the Saudi Arabia show is going to be announced. They had to cancel Backlash this year because this Saudi Arabia show, also in the summer, is going to be going down right at the same month as Backlash. So they did, rather than having 2 pay-per-views in the same month, they just opted out to go with the Saudi Arabia show. And there's been few details announced about it. One that is really weird is that they have so much money over there. Obviously, they have pitched they want Undertaker versus Mankind again in a Hell in a Cell match. And what the craziest news is, I know.
What year is it?
I know. Well, these guys keep thinking it's 1992. Well, they think they have so much money. They're gonna buy 1992. They're gonna make it. I'm gonna turn back time to 1992. That's how much money these guys have. But the sad news is, Mick Foley, Mankind, has said, if they give me enough money, I will do the match. So, you know what I mean? I think it's just a hard thing to say. A person his age, maybe is the money, you know, maybe is the fact that, you know what I mean, it's not making as much money as he used to, and his age, maybe this one last paycheck, you know, one last real big check you're going to get before you really have to call it quits and never step foot in the ring again. For a guy for his career, he's said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it if they give me enough money. And I'm sure Undertaker would definitely do it too. But who knows? Maybe you heard it here first, folks. The match could be going down. There has been a lot of discussion of people saying yes, people saying no. I'm kind of in the middle of it too. Like I said, hey man, the guy's got to get paid. And I think that's at the end of the day, I could feel for him too. The guy's got to get paid. And if Mick Foley needs that check, he needs that one last one just to get him over the hump so he can retire happily. I say more power to him. And if that's what he's got to do, then that's what he's got to do for his family. Put his body through one last bit of hell in a cell. And but Undertaker would definitely do. Undertaker's one of the biggest money whores right now too. Where all these dudes, well, they had all been hired, especially Kurt Angle as well. They've all been hired to do this StarCast thing, Kelly. Whereas like it's kind of a Wild West for these retired wrestlers, for these people signing up to do appearances. And so I guess AEW has more affiliation with StarCast than anything else. So what had WWE had done, because like Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Mankind, all these other dudes are supposed to make these big appearances on this StarCast thing. WWE has come and undercut them and said, no, I'll hire you guys back on. We'll hire you guys back on. We'll give you a 5-year contract. Just, a lower contract. We'll give you some made up job just to stay with us, just so you're not out there promoting somebody else. And I think it's a smart move on the WWE's angle, and good that these guys will still see a steady, guaranteed paycheck coming in, where they won't have to step outside their comfort zone, and they will have to be in a good spot where they will have all the medical and that type of thing that helps out with them as well. But crazy rumors coming through. A lot of rumors. The summertime is going to be ramping up to be one hell of an event here with everything going down. Plan your camping trips, folks, because it's going to be tough to get all this shit in. And stay tuned to the Stephen and Kelly's and new podcast for all the breaking news, cutting edge technology. Still playing Far Cry. Still playing Far Cry to the extent. Fuck, what a game. What a fucking game, man. I cannot believe it. Amazing game. I don't know why. I'm still going to wait. I think I'm going to do the same thing with the next Far Cry 2. Wait till it becomes $20 and then buy it again, because it just makes it even more cherishable, is that it was $20 and this game is fucking amazing. I've beaten the second section with Faith Seeds. I knew it was going to be nutty, and it totally was. Did not disappoint. With how crazy it was. It just got fucking so intense near the end. So of course, as soon, because you have a meter, right, Kelly? You have a meter for every section you go into, the amount of stuff you've done, and eventually the leader of that section will come and challenge you. So as soon as I got that meter done, she fucking comes and blows the dust in my face, and I go into this wild thing again, and then we go into this crazy cutscene where, because the whole time the marshal you went there with, he had been blissed, and he had been taken control totally by Faith, but you capture him, you take him back, and everyone's like, this is a bad idea, this is a bad idea. He's not, he's not fully out of the bliss, and no, he was not. So you kind of go to this out of body experience where Faith is talking into his ear and telling him what to say, and that's what he's been doing this whole time. So he was kind of just as a spy the whole time. So he kills a bunch of people, opens all the gates so that all the Peggies can get in, and then kills himself. So it was fucking gruesome, man. It was fucking gruesome. So you have to go into the prison, attack everyone, and get the prison back to normal, and everyone's in shambles. And but they took the sheriff. That was the biggest part. Is they took the sheriff. So now you have to go find Faith and get the sheriff, and the sheriff, he's been so blissed out, it's fucking super creepy. They all got these, because they're in it's like another missile silo you're in, and he's just gonna hang himself. He's been so blissed out, he's been mind controlled so much, he's gonna hang himself. So you have to go and mess up all the bliss pipes. That was a hard battle too, fighting in those corridors. Fighting out in the open, they do such a good mixture of, you're fighting out in the open, you're out in the wild, and you're fighting different things, bears and different stuff like that, and you're off-road and doing fun. But then these final missions, you're in these bomb silos and these missile silos, and it's so, you're in these enclosed areas. And I'm just kind of was realizing that when I was in this one last boss battle, it just how hard it kind of was, because you're so used to, being on the open, using trees and that type of thing. Now I'm in these narrow corridors fighting these dudes in heavy armor and with light machine guns, and it's such a different contrast to how you normally play the game. So it kind of keeps you on your toes that way. Fighting Faith was tough too, because we were in like this weird plane, and with how blissed out you've been, I'm kind of glad to be out of the bliss section, to tell you the truth, because you're so messed up. You're fighting an animal, and then you shoot it, and it poofs into a puff of smoke, and it's something else, and all the different crap that was going on with the bliss. It was just kind of, they're making it very topical. I think that's the one thing they did with this game, is they made it very current with how politics and how the world is kind of going. How this is not totally an unfathomable idea that could go on right in our back door in America, especially like a place like Montana, which is very wide open. A lot of places where there's very low population. Something like this could happen, but she's all crazy when I'm fighting her. I digress. She's all crazy, and she's like hovering around like almost like a being, and she's just shooting like these balls at you, like these energy balls at you. So it was kind of a bit of a weird on that, and but I did beat her and moved on, and kind of just tying up loose ends in that level now, and just going on to the final stage before the big final boss. So I'm kind of sad almost to see the game to come to again. I was kind of worried I was going to be getting a little bit tired of it by now with the missions as for repetitiveness, but I have not found that at all now. And coming into the new area, I don't know what to expect with this one. With the first one was, very sadistic. The second one was drugged out, and the third one, this is supposed to be like the former army brother, so I don't know what I'm supposed to expect on this one. A very tough battle, I guess. Everywhere I go, I don't know what to expect. But I'm excited to keep playing the game. One funny thing, where I talked about how streamlined and how flawless the game was with no glitching and that type of thing, I came across my first glitch. But it was actually really, really funny, actually, Kelly. It was really funny, because at the prison, where the kind of like your main base is at this place, at the prison, there's always a helicopter outside. There's always a helicopter there you can take and fly around and have fun with. But something went out wrong, and then two helicopters spawned side by side, and they were stuck together. So like they were the landing gear was stuck together in these helicopters. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. I kind of wanted to use this helicopter, but I can't separate them. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just fly it. So I fly these two helicopters up. It was all wonky, and my steering was all messed up, but it worked still. So it was kind of like a funny glitch, if anything. So it was too hard to steer. I just couldn't steer them properly. I was going around in circles. So I just took them up as high as I could, and then just jumped out of them and used my parachute and watched them blow up in the ground. So that was kind of the fun part of it. That's what's kind of fun about it too. Just all the different vehicles you get, the different weapons you get, different ways you make money, that type of thing. I just bought a brand new cool submachine gun. The one really cool is they're doing all the stunt missions. The Clutch Nixon stunt missions are really cool, and you always open up, you get something cool, like either a vehicle or some cool clothing. I always find those are always a little really fun to do. Some side missions to do on the side, and you got a ton of little side missions like collecting lighters, destroying all these shrines, and the game is just so full of stuff to do. You could easily play it forever and ever and ever, just with all the side missions. It would take you a lot of hours in order to finish every mission. I can guarantee you that. Such a fun game. Can't say enough about it. Check it out once again, folks. Far Cry 5. Get it while you can, man. Such a fun game. That's about it. Did you play any games? Anything new this week, Kelly?
Just more Apex.
Nice.
I have a story though, man.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
So I was playing with a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
just randoms, and so I guess one gets into a firefight, and he drops. So I run over and I save him, and then another teammate comes over and revives him or whatever.
Yep.
And so we're like moving on, and then get into another firefight. But this time I was shot in the back, didn't see the guy. I got dropped.
Yep.
And then so I crawl away, and the other two guys run. I guess I don't know. They did. And so I was crawling for a while, and then like I was in a zone where I'm perfectly fine. Both my teammates were kind of near me, but they're just not helping me for some reason.
Right.
Just kind of watching. All of a sudden I die. A guy finally runs up, and I guess they go through my stuff, and I just quit because I'm like, man, I want to play with the team, right? Later on, he sends me a picture that him and his buddy won a game, which I really don't care.
Sons of bitches.
Like it's pretty easy to win a game, so it's kind of funny that he shows me this picture. He says. He's like, this is what happens when you leave a game. And I just sent a message back. I'm like, if you want a team, play as a team player. Don't just let the guy die and take all his gear. I really, like, congratulations on winning. It's not that hard of achievement. So I guess it's a big achievement for you since you're sending the picture.
Wow, shots fired.
Yeah, and he never sent anything back after that. But, man, just don't let your teammate die to grab his stuff. Like, he's your team.
And then to screenshot you.
Yeah. A picture of them winning,
especially like not only the fact that they sat there and watched you die.
Yeah.
They wait till you die. They take your stuff. Who knows if they were going to? Who knows if they were going to revive you? You know what I mean? And then to say like, oh, you shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have fucking let me die, bleed out there, you sons of bitches. Oh, that sucks, man. That really sucks.
So don't be those guys. That's all I'm saying. That's my PSA for today.
Wow.
Don't be those guys.
Revive your buddies.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's
Especially if
annoying.
they're not like running up behind you, taking all your stuff, which I'd never do. You know what I mean? That was all my stuff that I got.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I had a pretty good loadout. I was like, yeah, whatever, man. I just don't want to play with these guys.
Nah, still, that's super annoying, man. Still, that's unacceptable in my books, if you ask me. Unacceptable.
Yeah, team game.
Team game, exactly.
Team.
Like you say time and time again. You know what I mean? The people who win are the people who stick together.
Yeah.
You know, if you got one guy going off, you might as well just restart the game right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's just running off in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, just leave. The guy doesn't know how to play, man. He thinks he's going to take on 3 people.
Do yourself a favor.
I mean, it's not unheard of where you can drop a team, but it's also not smart. Because, like, the guy could be just as good as you on the other team.
Yep,
right?
that's true. Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly. You know what I mean? You just caught a bad bullet because your team wasn't there for you, and then just to douche you out like that, that's disgusting. Despicable. Well, let's bring it back by popular demand, reviewing the reviewers. One thing I thought is that I'm not actually reviewing these people, I'm more making fun of them. I should be giving them a star rating too, though. You know what I mean?
Should.
But the star rating, it's such a slippery slope for me personally.
Yeah.
You know, am I going to base their star rating on craziness, on, you know what I mean, on their entitledness, or like an actual, do I review it like properly? Looking like, was it actually a legitimate people who were legitimately upset, and they had like legitimate points that they brought up, you know, saying this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. You know what I mean? Here's how you solve the problem. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of wondering how I am going to. I think I'm just going to throw out some random numbers when it comes to my review, my 5-star review of these reviewers. So and I came to me. I still have zero preparation. It's not because I'm lazy. I could easily come up with a whole fucking show of reviewing the reviews if I even did a tiny bit of organization or any kind of research into it. I think it's much more fun to go into it blind for myself personally, for funniness on myself personally. You know what I mean? It's all about me. So. But one place, and I personally always have terrible service at this place. I would never review it. I'm just gonna piss and moan and bitch about it to people I actually know. You know what I mean? Tim Hortons, the fucking worst. And I'm not even gonna do the store I go to all the time and I fucking hate. Maybe in a show down the road I will. But once again, I'm just gonna stick with the format, picking the closest one to us, Tim Hortons, to review Tim Hortons. I know you have Tim Hortons in America. It's a little bit different down there. We had it here first, obviously. Donut and coffee shop, if you don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I don't know how you're listening to the show. Because they're fucking everywhere. And I would assume you wouldn't have internet if you do not know and you don't leave your house. I don't know. I'm painting a real dark picture here, folks. I don't know what's going on.
Never driven down the road.
You've never driven. You've never left your house. You don't have internet. You don't have TV. But just, Tim Hortons actually has the local one here. It has no drive-through, but it has been there for a very long time. Another Tim Hortons has been there for a very long time. So long it has no drive-through. It has a 3.9 star rating out of 626 reviews. 626 people.
On donuts and cold sandwiches.
Ugh, their sandwiches are the worst. You're desperate when you have to settle for a Tim Hortons sandwich.
Yeah, sandwich at a donut shop.
Yeah. But they got actually a lot of good reviews, you know what I mean? But there's obviously, I'm not here for the good reviews. I'm here I'm here for the 1-star reviews here. This guy just looks crazy. Look at his profile picture. This guy looks like he's nutty, and he's only got 4 reviews. So I can guarantee they're all 1 stars. Let's read here. YB, he reviewed him a month ago, gave him 1 star. Let's see here. Timmy is always an entertainment. I am a regular customer. $150 is my average spending in a month. Wow, what a whack job. $150 at Tim Hortons a month? Holy moly. Let's just do the math here. Let's just make it easy. 30 days. I gotta digress. I've done no research.
Oops.
Yeah, what's that it's gotta be like $5 a day.
Yeah, $5 a day.
$5 a day this guy spends every day. So that'd be if you went there every single day, spending $5, and that'd have to be like a coffee and 2 donuts, or like a coffee and a box of 10 Timbits or something. Timbits are my favorite, by the way. So I love Timbits. Anyways, I think he's maybe a little off. This guy's nutty. But don't expect any respect or customer service at this location. The staff is always under deep depression. I don't blame them for their attitude. Probably respect. Well, I don't understand this. Yeah. Probably respect, please and thank you are alien word to them. Wow. You mean they didn't say please and thank you at Tim Hortons? You didn't get that? You didn't get that service from them? Not surprised, buddy. Kind of weird though, because like he's mad that they don't respect him. Because he's expecting, I'm a big spender, spending my $150 a month at Tim Hortons. This is my place. This is my go-to. I save up. This is the only reason why I work, is so I can go to Tim Hortons every day. So he's saying, but then he's saying they don't respect the customers, but then I don't blame them for not getting respect, but I want the respect. Because he goes in there, and I'm very confused by this guy here. I'm very confused. So that's to say they got to add the time when the review is written. Because I can guarantee this guy wrote this review. If he's not a complete psychopath, he must have wrote this review drunk at like 1 a.m. That's what I'm guessing. So for you, YB, I will give you 1 star, 1.5 stars. Just give you a little bit be a little bit more generous here for you. Just because of how crazy you are and you don't even know what you want. You're so loopy, you're spending $150 a month at Tim Hortons. Very, very weird. Very weird. Wow, this person here, let's move on. Holy shit. Wow, and that's a 5-star review. If someone gave him a 5-star review and they got a fucking huge paragraph. I'll give him good, because it all seems like, just reading through it quickly here, they actually they broke this whole fucking place down about the location and the bathrooms. Gave him 5 stars though. Okay, let's read this one here. It's a 3-star. I always like the people who are keeping it real with the 3-star. Everyone's just throwing 5 stars out there. It was decent, 5 stars. It was terrible, 1 star. You gotta have this. It's not full blast or all the way off, people. Come on, you gotta give it some thought. Give it some thought when you're reviewing this shit. Let's read this one here. 3 stars by CP, also a month ago. I love the bagels and donuts here, but once I ordered a hot chocolate and it tasted and looked like brown water.
What does brown water taste like? I wonder. Because he said it tasted like brown water, as if he drinks it on a regular basis.
I know brown water, and this ain't brown water. Questionable quality for a casual drink. There's always a long line and fairly slow service as well. So he still gave him 3 stars though. He was very disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got brown water. He didn't want brown water.
And it took him a long time to get it.
But he still gave him 3 stars. It was still like, so really that's good. You know what I mean? Above average. Yeah. The brown water wasn't to my normal brown water liking, but I still will give you a preferable review on this brown water with my bagel. I've never understood. I know my son always wants me to go get a bagel when I go there too, and I know people get bagels. I don't know why. I would never go. Me personally, I'm not going to go to Tim Hortons and buy a fucking bagel and get cream cheese on it. I've just never understood it. You know what I mean? I'll buy a bag of bagels, toast them myself, put cream cheese on it.
Yeah, way cheaper.
That's all they're. Why don't you just go to Tim Hortons and get fucking toast? Can I get some toast? Yeah, just with butter. One butter on one, please. No butter on the other. Toast. That'll be $3.50.
Can I get a brown water with that?
Can I get a water with just a little bit of brown in it?
Okay, $4.50.
Oh man, too much. That's what's odd. The odd thing about this Tim Hortons, I mean, is how many positive reviews there is. Here's one. This one's weird. This one's really weird. 5 stars. DJ. They have a lot of reviews too, and not too many photos, which is weird, but it's so weird. Always fun. Too many yummy treats. I can never decide. What the fuck would you say? So weird.
What's fun about it?
I know, yeah, I know. Like choosing out, it was like your first time ever. Like I said, is this the person that doesn't fucking get out of their house? Like Tim Hortons is a big endeavor. Oh, my vacation, I went to Tim Hortons. Fucking weirdos.
So much fun.
Oh boy, this one's awesome. This one's awesome because this person's complaining about the drive-thru, but there's no drive-thru at this location, so.
No, there isn't. So I can verify that.
Exactly. So, like I said, it's an old Tim Hortons. Never once has it had a drive-thru. So this person's obviously completely oblivious to where because there is one a ways away that has a drive-thru, but there's like 3 other Tim Hortons in between this one and that one. You know what I mean? So obviously they reviewed the wrong one. The same thing about Tim Hortons is they don't give a shit. They aren't responding to the reviews. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a note to do that on the next show because I know of a few places I've read throughout the years where the owners are a complete psychopath and they get into arguments with the reviewers, and that's the shit. That is gold. That is the shit. That is gold, right there. We'll do this one here, and then we'll go to a brief commercial here. All right, this person here is CE. This is the only review they've ever done too. So this even makes it even better. So they must have been extremely pissed off. CE, and then even the one with the drive-through that's not too far from here. It is always a nightmare. The drive-throughs at Tim Hortons any fucking where in Canada are a nightmare. be prepared to wait a long time. You might as well get out of your fucking car, waddle your fucking ass inside if you don't want to sit in the drive-thru, because then you can sit in the lineup. Either or. Tim Hortons are super packed. Especially if you don't even think about it if you're going during rush hour on a weekend, going, like around 10 o'clock on a weekend, like soccer practice or some shit. There's going to be a lot of people in there. And so buckle up. Be prepared for that. And if you aren't, you're a complete fucking moron, which is why you're doing these reviews. All right, here. So CE'd this review 2 months ago. Only review, 1 star. Like I said, there's no drive-thru at this location, so this guy's an idiot. I waited in the drive-thru for a long time, as always at this location. Got 50 assorted Timbits. Open the box, and the glaze on one of them were melted. On one. On all of them were melted. So you didn't get a spectacular service from a Tim Hortons employee. It was just a big, gooey mess. Disgusting and messy. They also didn't give us napkins, and the outside of the box was messy as well. 0 stars. Be more accurate. How do they get me?
What's accuracy have to do with messy? Glazed, like to glaze a donut, you need to melt the sugar on them.
Be more accurate.
Yeah.
V, to finish it off, I wasn't prepared to that. I was not. How are they gonna be more accurate? Like, do you think they got some fucking shooting range and the donuts go by on a fucking conveyor belt and people just sitting there shooting them with fucking glaze? What a fucking moron. Be more accurate. And I can see what he's talking about though, because the glaze, because they just kind of put it in this big trough and they just kind of air it out. I've had soggy donuts before and it's not cool, but still to have all of them covered in it, maybe it's being over exaggerating, but how are people going to be more accurate? These are Tim Hortons employees, people. We got to cut them some slack. They aren't gonna, you know what I mean? Maybe they're a kid in college, but most of the time they are people making very minimum wage. Their skill set isn't there, but I'm not going in expecting the top line service from a Tim Hortons employee. They're there for a reason. They you know what I mean? People come have trials and tribulations through life. These people are there for a reason at Tim Hortons, and I can guarantee they don't give a shit about their job as much as the people ordering think they should. So you're not going to get that service. I just love this one. I can't believe it, man. I'm going to give this guy 5 stars. 5 stars for psychoticness, for absolute psychoticness. I don't know how you get 50 assorted and the whole thing's a big gooey mess. I just don't understand that. They you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. Something doesn't smell right here, CE. But especially to go out of your way to review them on that. Terrible. Oh, I love it, though. I love it. Cut back, man. I really love this shit. Hit us up on Twitter, folks. If you got any suggestions, places we should review, wherever the hell you're from around the world, you want to hear me doing some wacky voices, hit me up, man. Hit us up at and new podcast on Twitter. Hit us up, folks, with any of your wacky reviews, whatever it is. I don't care. I'll review anything. Fast food is just so easy. These people's brains are so melted from pop and grease throughout the years. I love fast food too, but I'm not going to go and review if I had a terrible situation. But good shit. Can't make this shit up, folks. And I barely scratched the surface of the 626 reviews. But I digress. Let's take a quick little break here. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Having trouble flushing your shit down the toilet? Be sure your bowl is filled with plenty of water. Toilets and water, a perfect mix since 1802. Good gravy, my turd ain't going down this toilet. Have you tried water? Whoa, you blew my mind. My shit has never gone down the toilet better. Thank you, water. Yes, my good sir. I would require your largest cup of hot brown water. Extra brown, please. And please, show me some respect in this establishment.
Brought to you by Tim Hortons.
Get all your treats at Tim Hortons with water. Now sponsored by water. Your tea, your coffee, your hot chocolate, even your donuts. Gooey, gooey water. Try it today. You know what's really good is that peach drink, though. I love that peach drink from Tim Hortons. Good stuff. You can't get that anywhere else for some weird reason. Peach drink, water and peaches. And welcome back, folks. Hope you enjoyed our messages. And go grab yourself a cold, tall glass of water on the house. Getting to the fights this weekend. Bellator went down in the UK. They always love going over there, untapped market, I guess. Bellator Birmingham. Brett Primus versus Tim Wild.
Who?
Yeah, I know. Yep, exactly. Primus is kind of, been in and out of the 155-pound title picture. Recently losing to Michael Chandler, but Tim Wild, I have no clue who he is. We'll break down who that dude is in a second here. Going down in Birmingham, where is it? Resorts World Arena. Kind of a weird name. Resorts. This is like, we are the Resort World Arena. It wasn't a great card. I did catch most of it. Lots of KOs, as you can tell by the main card. Everyone was knocking out everyone. Derek Campos getting knocked out by Pedro Carvalho by TKO. Raymond Daniels winning by KO in a minute. And then Fabian Edwards also winning by TKO. Up kicks. Wow, nice. Good way to go here. I don't know if any of these dudes. I think that definitely Fabian Edwards is British. Where is this Pedro Carvalho? I thought he was Portuguese. Yeah, Pedro Carvalho. He's fighting out of SBG. He's actually got some. Bellator is really. He's undefeated in Bellator. 3 fights in a row in Bellator. It was last. That's where I saw him last. Was the Italian card he was on, where he won by guillotine choke. Then winning by TKO. Maybe he can get some stateside exposure from that win. Good win for that dude coming up. Dude fighting out of Portugal. You don't see a ton of fighters coming out of there. Brett Primus winning by Gogoplata, though. Man, it was quick and it was slick. It actually was really good. Tim Wild kind of didn't really see it coming, oddly enough. I thought it was weird. Did you catch it? Because it was.
I did not.
They had the whole thing right on. Somebody had posted on Facebook, so I watched the whole thing. It was on obviously at a weird time since in the UK, but that Gogoplata was coming. It was slowly coming, and I don't know how Tim Wild kind of didn't see that coming, and he kind of just stayed in his position because he was kind of winning the fight before then, and then it was kind of slow, but you know what I mean. I guess if you're not ready for that type of thing, he got caught in it pretty quick. Let's break it down here. 6 degrees of separation. Tim the Experiment Wild. Weird. He looks like an experiment. He looks like a test tube baby. He's
failed experiment.
Oh wow, rough. Get wrecked. He's 12-4. Kind of weird, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, he doesn't. That's his first Bellator fight. So the main event, a Bellator card with your first Bellator fight. He must have been a local champ or something for this golden ticket fight promotions or something. 'Cause that's where he's fought his last 2 fights, winning against relative nobodies. Just take a look here. I'm not seeing anybody here that really stands out. Obviously, a lot of British dudes, but kind of weird that he would be headlining. Maybe he's the last second. I think he actually was the last second replacement. I think so.
Must have been,
yeah, he must have been. But taking the loss here, not really. That was the worst 6 degrees of separation I've ever done.
The guy basically sucked, and he was the last minute replacement.
Surprise, surprise, he lost.
Yeah.
Bellator, still getting it done. I thought they could have used more star power than just Brett Primus, though. You know what I mean? And talked about him before. I don't know why his name is Primus, but good fighter, but just kind of weird why they would have a card over there with relatively no star power at all. Kind of odd. Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about it. UFC Fight Night 151. Al Iaquinta versus Donald Cerrone. Going down in Ottawa, nation's capital somehow. Good card. Like I said, it could have been better. The undercard was better than the main card. I thought. I had put. Unfortunately, I did do some betting on this card, and I lost every single one. The one was a major one-sided with Macy Chiasson versus Sarah Moras. The odds were so stacked, and she almost won with that armbar. Macy Chiasson got saved by the bell. She got Zach Morrison saved by the bell in the first round. She almost got armbarred by Sarah Moras. Local girl, she fights out of Sheshelt. Oddly enough, Kelly. Cole Smith, Canadian guy, beats Mitch Gagnon. Another local guy out of Richmond, Arjan Bowler. He gets back in the win column against Juan Adams. That was one I should have put money on because Bowler was actually the underdog in that one too. Let's see here. Nordine Talib gets back in, beating the last second replacement in Kyle Proselek. Vince Morales beats Iserman Zahabi. That was actually a real snore fest. That one kind of put me to sleep a little bit. But the girl fight, Macy Chiasson versus Sarah Moras, was actually a really good fight. Actually, they really went toe to toe, but unfortunately, Sarah goes down by TKO. Macy Chiasson got she looked a little shaky, what she had kind of done in her previous fights, where she takes a little while to get out of the gate. She needs a little bit more to really push her, and then once she gets into that fight mode, then she starts taking over with her size and everything like that. And she had some really good ground game, got the full amount, and just pounded it out. Had no choice but for Sarah to tap. Andrew Sanchez beats Marc-Andre Barriete, but Andrew Sanchez, he won the middleweight Ultimate Fighter on his show. That was actually a really good fight. Actually, those guys really went toe to toe. They really didn't let up from each other. Walt Harris, the big ticket, cashes in his big ticket against undefeated Sergey Spivak, Moldovan fighter. We're starting to see a lot of Moldovan fighters come over now, and I don't know too much about the country. Very small country in Europe. I think they were voted. I think they were actually voted the heaviest drinkers of all of Europe. So that's a good moniker to have. Good moniker to have. But Walt Harris calling out basically everybody. Saying he wants Stipe, or saying he wants the Black Beast. So that could be a good fight. I could really see him doing that. Doing good. Let's break it down here. Walt Harris, I always get him. I always forget about him for some reason. I think Justin Willis is the other dude I always get him mixed up with for some weird reason. Oh, Big Pretty. Yeah, Big Pretty and Big Ticket. That's probably why. The Big Ticket. But who did he lose? He lost to Mark Goodbeer by disqualification. He got armbarred by Verdum. Most people do. But he actually had a good run. He lost to that Shamil guy, Abu Maharakov. He just won recently on the Russian card. Beat Cody East. He lost to Saue Palea. He lost to. Beat DJ Linderman. Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's the fight that got him on. He actually has a lot of UFC stints.
This one was an illegal kick.
Yeah, he lost. Yeah, exactly. He kicked him on the ground, I believe. Lost to Jared Rosholt, too. He's got a very up and down career. So he had two losses in the UFC. Oh, he lost to Nikita Krylov, too. Weird. In 25 seconds. Crazy. Krylov fights at 205 now. That's crazy. Then beating DJ Linderman, getting called back up to the UFC, losing again after. So he's 0-3 in the UFC. Then finally gets in the win column, loses again. He's 1-4 in the UFC. Then beats Chase Sherman, beats Cyril Asker, then loses for Doom. That's a tough one to get. And then gets a DQ against Godbeer, and then beats Daniel Spitz, gets a no contest against Arlovsky. I think he failed his piss test and went. I think he actually did win that fight too. I think it was a close decision, but he failed his piss test. I think he only got hit for 6 months, and then coming back against Sergey Spivak, huge win. UFC desperately needs these heavyweights, and we see one here in Walt, the Big Ticket Harris. And then the other fight I put money on, unfortunately, it was the odds were just getting so good. Brad Katona, undefeated prospect, won his Ultimate Fighter show too. This Mirab Davashi guy was a tough dude, but he kind of had the same thing, an up and down career. And unfortunately, he came in. Once I had seen that he had this Mirab Davashi guy moved from Russia to New York to train solely under the Matt Saralongo camp, I'm like, oh shit. Like, oh, damn it. I wish I would have known that before I bet. And he won. He looked really good, actually. He had worked in a really good... His ground game wasn't great. He did a lot of hugging and holding, but his stand-up game was actually really kept him guessing. One thing that that Bisping had said about him being the commentator, which I thought was a good commentating team, that he never throws the same kick twice, so I thought that was really cool. He actually did do good, but the shitty thing was I put money on Brad Katona and lost, and especially for a Canadian guy like that to go down as well. A lot of these SBG guys are going down here, and I don't like it. I didn't see actually the Shane Burgos versus Cub Swanson. I was out kind of doing other stuff, and I came back to watch the kind of the weird fight that was Derek Brunson versus Elias Theodoro. I caught the tail end of that one and wasn't very impressed by that, especially Elias Theodoro had been talking a lot of smack before that about how, this is his time. He's even going to move up to 205 and fight John Jones, but you got to beat Derek Brunson at 185 first before you're going to move up to 205. I don't see him. He's not even that big of a 185. You know what I mean? So I thought it was weird that he would be even thinking about moving to 205, which I thought was a weird move here. He's kind of had an up and down career too in the UFC, and he doesn't really win by finishes. I think that's the weirdest thing about Elias. He'll really just kind of take the dude to the distance. Another guy from the Ultimate Fighter. He was on the Ultimate Fighter when I really felt sorry for actually the Australian team. It was Australia versus Canada, and Canadians just mopped the floor with them. There was actually a lot of good Canadians at that time, and the Australians were a lot of unproven kind of no-names. Yeah, he's got a lot of UFC fights now, though. He's beaten Sheldon Westcott to get onto the show. Bruno Santos he beats, Roger Navarra, and then he loses to Thiago Santos, by decision. All of his fights since that fight have all been decision. And that's kind of tough. Beat Sam Alvey, beat Cesaro Ferreira, then loses again to Brad Tavares. That was a really weird, bad fight too. Beats Daniel Kelly, beats Trevor Smith, beats the Eric Anders, which, that split decision kind of should have went the other way. And then here, losing to Derek Brunson, another dude, you're gonna try to, that style matchup. It's just a bad matchup. Whoever the matchmaker who made this was asking for a boring fight. And especially with Derek Brunson versus Theodoro, it just screamed to me like it was going to be a bad fight, and it totally was. Decision is what we saw. That's 100%. If you were a betting man, you should have definitely bet on decision on that one. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Raging Al Iaquinta. Great match. Really good match. I love Al Iaquinta's never give up attitude. He was never, until about the end of the third and then the fourth round, he was never really out of it. He was still landing, keeping Donald Cerrone honest, and not giving him a shot. And, he tagged him a few times. He landed a few good punches. That one leg kick right to the back of his leg, that really kind of sent a shock up Cerrone's spine. And almost looked like, because the way he crumpled after that leg kick, it didn't look natural at all. But, Donald Cerrone just putting together too much stuff. He's just that now he's working that jab. His new fight camp, that jab was just nasty, because every single time Al Iaquinta, you really studied the tape, Al Iaquinta would kind of come in with like this kind of this ducking head looping attack, and he would just tag him with that. He would just chewed him up with that jab. He get the jab in, stopping the attack, and really putting some damage, because it really had nothing with the jab. It was all Al Iaquinta's movement, moving right into that, running into that punch every time with all of his kinetic energy, getting punched in the face. So it played right into Cerrone's game, and then Cerrone, landing the kicks, and really, having to hunt a little bit on Al Iaquinta. I was kind of surprised that Cerrone was the underdog even in this card too, but it was so evenly matched in my mind, where Al Iaquinta has surprised me before in the past with his tenacity. I think what we saw here was the size. Donald Cerrone fits at 170 so well, and then to come back down to 155 for this, he was massive, a massive 155, especially against Al Iaquinta. And it was a really, really great match. What did you got? What's your take on that one, Kelly, on that main event?
Oh man, this is domination by Donald Cerrone, basically. It's funny because before the fight, I was showing my wife video of Donald Cerrone when he's like kind of in the Matrix, landing these crazy combos.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is what you got to look forward to, and it did not disappoint.
That's a great point you bring up, Kelly. Just how he lines these combos up. He'd be like punch, punch, dodge, kick. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Like he's already ready for the counter punch. And I think that's what a lot of these fights, you got to counter the counter. And I think that's what Donald Cerrone does very, very well. And he's going to make that list. I think, one of the toughest pound for pound, bred for fighting dude, and no one does it better than Donald Cerrone. I think he's one of those dudes that would be perfect. He would definitely be 100% be the 165 pound champ. He's a bit too small for 170 and a bit too big for 155, and I think that he would definitely 100% be the 165 pound champ. Make it happen, Dana, before this man has to go out and retire, and rightfully so. I think so many records for him. He's most wins for a UFC fighter, most UFC wins, most fight of the night bonuses, 17.
And he's always fought in the two most stacked divisions too.
Yeah, exactly. And he did peter there a few times, and then he went down and fought fought up and coming guys, and he always beat them. And he's had an up and down, but 36-11. That's a really good career for a dude who's fought so many times in the UFC. Like I think it'd be easier to count how many fights he doesn't have in the UFC, which was WEC. So he fought at WEC before that, and so he comes in the WEC undefeated. First loss was to Jamie Varner by a split decision too. Wow, like the guy, and that was his first. So let's say it was 2007 was his last non-UFC fight. Like that is crazy. That is 12 years ago. So he's been fighting in a UFC organization for 12 years, up and downs. I think one fight that really stood out to me was he lost to Nate Diaz. That was a really tough one because I think he got headbutted by his horse a few weeks before, and he never really busted his lip up really bad. But he was too proud to go down and not continue with the fight. So many good fights. He lost to Anthony Pettis too. I remember that one too. Anthony Pettis. He lost to Rafael Dos Anjos. Rafael Dos Anjos twice actually. Here it is. Yeah, he kind of had a bit of a stumble in 2017, which is, pretty recently. I think that's what caused him to change camps, change how he does things. But that was against some very, very tough competition. Yeah. You know what I mean? Jorge Masvidal, he loses to. Loses to Robbie Lawler by decision, and then gets TKO by Darren Till. Those are some very big welterweights. And Jorge Masvidal is, once again, one of the toughest dudes you're going to come up against. And then coming back to knockout Yancy Medeiros, then losing to Leon Edwards. That was a tough one too. That wasn't a very lackadaisical fight. You just kind of didn't see, he didn't have the fire in him, that one. But then to armbar Mike Perry, beat Alexander Hernandez, everyone was saying Alexander Hernandez was going to whoop him, and this was his stepping stone. And then a huge win to headline, and then beat Al Iaquinta. Kind of just calling out whoever he wants afterwards, and basically saying, I want to fight Conor, obviously for the money, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I remember him saying he didn't even watch fight video on Darren Till or anything, and he had no idea how strong he was.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
like that's a bad move.
yeah, that's a really bad move, especially against a guy like his nickname is the Gorilla. You may want to take a little bit of time, but still, like you really see the size differential in that fight too of Darren Till versus Cerrone, which I think, like I said, he's really good at 170, but against the top 5 guys at 170, he's just too small.
Yeah.
These dudes, they're weighing 220 and cutting down to 170, where I think Donald Cerrone probably weighs like 185.
Totally agree.
You know what I mean? So, his weight cut is hard. I think that's the reason why he likes 170, because he doesn't have to cut so much weight.
But the guys are just too big, man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that, right? That's exactly what it is. But what a career, man. Like, what a career. Rob Broughton, too. That guy was a real stable at WEC, too. Really good fighter. Beecham loses to Benson Henderson, which is most people did back then, too. Yeah, lost to Benson Henderson twice. Beat Ed Radcliffe. Then he vindicates himself, beats Jamie Varner, Chris Horodecki, Paul Kelly, Wagner Roca, Charles Oliveira he beats, Dennis Seaver, loses to Nate Diaz, beats Jeremy Stevens, Melvin Gillard, that was an awesome KO. That was a posterizing KO. Loses Anthony Pettis, beats KJ News, loses Dos Anjos, beats Evan Dunnan, beats Andrino Martins, Edson Barbosa, that's a big win. Wow. Beats Jim Miller with a KO. Eddie Alvarez, Miles Jury, and then beats Benson Henderson. This was the one where he broke his jaw. He broke John Makdessi's jaw to lose to Rafael Dos Anjos again and tumble down, and then beats Alex Oliveira by triangle choke, no doubt.
Patrick Cote.
Yeah, Patrick Cote too. Crazy.
Names, man.
Rick Story, Matt Brown. He never fights bums. No. That's the thing. He's been fighting for 10 years in the UFC, and it's all named guys. That is insane.
It's too bad there's no 165, man. He would have been champ for a while.
Yeah. My hat goes off to you. My cowboy hat goes off to you, Donald Cerrone. I could watch him. I could watch him cut the grass. This guy is so good at what he does. He's such a cool cucumber, and can't wait to see who he fights next. With that being said, Kelly, I'm gonna put you on the spot here with no prep on this one. Who do you think he does fight next? What fight do you think makes sense?
Man.
What fight do you think makes sense for you?
It's just 2. I think either Khabib or Conor.
Ooh, wow.
That's the 2 I think would be the best fights for him.
Wow, good call. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm gonna say not at 145, but at 155. Excuse me, Max Holloway.
Oh,
Max Holloway, or at 155 for a 155 title elimination belt for the next contract signing. For the next person in line for 155 against Tony Ferguson.
Oh man, that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight too. I think a lot of people would be very interested in that one. I think Ferguson versus Cerrone, that's a headliner and a half. Yeah. To have a headliner like that with no belt on the line, I think that's one of those ones they have it in spades. Good card. I wanted to touch base on the next UFC coming up next weekend. We will have all the reports on briefly before we close out the show tonight, folks. UFC 237. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade.
Can't wait.
I know. Goes down next weekend in Brazil. I am really excited for this card. I always love the Brazilian cards, and this one is stacked. Rose Namajunas takes on Jessica Andrade for the strawweight belt. I cannot wait for this one. That's going to be such a good fight. Anderson Silva takes on Jared Cannonier. A lot of rumors is this is going to be Anderson Silva's retirement bout. We will find out. Jose Aldo also takes on Alexander Volkanovski. That should be an amazing fight too. Diego Alves is even on the card against another Brazilian fighter. Carlos Diego takes on Francisco Trinaldi. Should be a good match. Little Nog takes on Ryan Spann. Kurt Holaba, Thiago Moses. And Betch Correa is even on it. Clay Guida versus BJ Penn. Surprisingly enough, BJ Penn has not been removed from the card. That's kind of weird, but that's okay. I still want to see Clay Guida against. I hope if something does happen, they at least give him some kind of replacement.
Headshot. for
Yeah, I know, eh? Priscilla
Priscilla,
Cocaria. She's got like her modeling headshot, not her fighting picture. And
Nice.
let's see who else is on this one. Yeah, no, there's a lot of local. Warley Alves is on this one, really far down against Sergio Moraes. That's kind of low for two dudes who are kind of good 135ers, but still.
Korea fights be good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very stacked card. We'll be reporting on the Clay Guida versus BJ Penn fight. Maybe we'll do like a little live snippet or something like that. Nah, that's a bit too hard to do. But either way, we will be very excited for that card when it goes down.
So many big Brazilian names, man. No
Yeah.
Bellator,
All like
Thiago,
title,
yeah.
all like guys who've always fought for a belt, or even Little Nog. You know what I mean? Never really fought for a belt, but it was such a huge name. And then Thiago Alves, who fought for 170, and Jose Aldo, was one of the best 145s in the world. And then Anderson Silva was a 185 champ. You know what I mean? And we get Jessica Andrade gets her chance. It's going to be a tough. I think this is going to be Rose's toughest matchup. I think if anybody can do it, it would be the tenacity of Andrade. Can she find that fold in to be able to slip through the kickboxing attack of Rose Namajunas, and maybe implement more of her, make it a grappling, a submission game, make it a dirty boxing game, and kind of use her up against the fence. I think that's going to be the keys to victory for Jessica Andrade. Keep Rose up against the fence, make it so you nullify her whole plan of attack, and work the ground game. Take her down, ground and pound. I think Rose is very strong on the ground, but I think if you're going to go up against a girl like that, I think you're going to have to take away her stand-up game and make it a ground game. I don't know. I think if anybody can do it, it would be Jessica Andrade. If she can't, I don't think anyone's going to beat Rose. Just because she's so good, she's just so well-rounded everywhere. I think we're going to see a decision. I think that's one thing you want to bet on is a decision, and I think that's what it could be.
Looking at the card, I think it's gonna be a good night for the Brazilians. Just like the competition. Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're giving them cans or anything.
No.
I just think that they're all beatable.
Yeah, big time. I think it's kind of one of the things where they did set it up. It's kind of weird that they have Anderson Silva and Jared Cannonier so high on the card. I would have had the Jose Aldo Alexander Volkanovski one as the co-main event, but I guess Anderson Silva gets that. I can't remember
Brazil too. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember when Anderson Silva last fought in Brazil. Let's take a look here. When the hell was the last time he even fought in Brazil? I don't think that one was in Brazil. I don't know. Oh, versus Bisping. The Bisping one was in Brazil.
That's 2016.
Yeah, I don't think he's fought in Brazil very much at all. Weird. Very weird. Going down next weekend, folks. Be sure to tune in for our post-fight recap. I'm excited. I'm really excited. We definitely got to hang out. I kind of took this weekend off from partying, just kind of chilled out, chillaxed, played a lot of Far Cry, and played a little bit of 7 Days to Die. It's an okay game. It's kind of fun because it's couch co-op, so that's one of the fun parts about it. But just there's a lot of downtime in the game. You're in the game. You really can't go out at nighttime because it's pitch black, and the zombies are super hard to fight at night. It's kind of it's a weird survival game. It's fun. I like what they've done with it, but it's very easy to die. And I got a house set up and super good fortification, but I keep getting sick. And my guy just dies. I get sick. I get a high fever, and then I start dying. Damn real life. Anything you want to talk about, Kelly? Anything got on your mind you want to talk about?
I think I'm good.
Sports. Tim Hortons getting your brown water, not right?
It's nice weather. I've been riding.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Rucking it up.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's true. It has been very nice. It has been super, super nice. Supposed to be a scorcher coming this week up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. Camping season right around the corner. I got a week off next week. Or no, 2 weeks from now I got a week off, so I'm excited. Well, yeah, it's perfect time to round out the show here, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Stephen and Kelly's and new podcast. I always appreciate everyone listening out there, whatever platform you're listening to us on. We always appreciate it, folks. Stay tuned for shit to come up, and hit us up on Twitter, whatever shit you want to hear. And thanks for all your support. Well then, for producer and co-host extraordinaire Kelly, my name is Steven, and you've been listening to the Ed New Podcast. Signing off.